Yeah, no,
And that's a
I'm
terrible
a Michael
choice.
Franti guy when it comes to that. I want to be happy, and like if I'm moving and if I'm dancing, like I want some Michael Franti in my head.
Yeah. I would like to see the dancing translate into not sitting in a plane seat, though.
I'm a world-class dancer.
On record, that better not be cut.
Welcome to the Our Family Invest podcast, where we explore what happens when family, purpose, and entrepreneurship align. I'm Mike, a former Maui firefighter who reached financial freedom in just 5 years through real estate investing.
And I'm Caroline, a Maui-based realtor here to educate, empower, and elevate my clients to make smart real estate moves, whether right here at home or through my nationwide network.
Together, we're chasing our full potential as individuals, as a couple, and as a family. We're here to build a life that matters. And each week we share the stories of couples who inspire us to love harder, dream bigger, and grow bolder. So join us and let's learn, share, and grow. Okay, I'm excited for today. Are you excited?
Yeah, I feel like we haven't really gotten to talk about the podcast, about guests, and kind of what we're doing, where we're going.
You know, we've been doing this now for 6 months. And so today's episode, we're just going to kind of go through all the highs, the lows, the things we've learned. And we can even go into the tech stack. We don't really have a outline for what today's going to look like, but we want to kind of go over all the stuff, right?
If this is not interesting and you don't want to hear about our personal takes, then you probably want to scooch along. But I think just kind of a reflection pause for us and a reconnection. Okay, so you wanted to do this podcast for a really long time. I definitely was hesitant, still am learning to grow and go through it. I enjoy the outcomes and I enjoy the people that we get to meet and talk to, but you definitely had the vision for it. So where are you in what you perceived to what you now know to where you want to go?
Right. Yeah. So I think we should rewind a little bit and just kind of give the origin of the idea of the podcast.
Sure.
Right. So the idea for this podcast came of one that we wanted to lift up the people that lifted us up. Right. So we wanted other people to be inspired by the people who inspire us. And so at the end of last year, I worked really hard to get all of our short-term rentals, all the properties that we had into a passive state. So having property management in place and, you know, being in a position where we can be hands off and that this could be my main focus, make the one thing, right? And so I will say that Alex Felice told me early on that it was a lot more work than I was anticipating. And he was 100% right. There is way more involved. Like I spend a good 3 to 4 days a week just on podcast stuff because there's so much that goes on behind the scenes that I didn't know about. But getting back to your question, I'm really grateful that we've been doing it. I think that we are at a state where I kind of thought we would be right around here 6 months in. I was hoping for a little bit more traction, but you know, that's something that comes with practice, I suppose, right? Like we're not the best podcast hosts that are out there. We're not Mel Robbins. We're not yet. Well, we'll never be Mel Robbins.
Fair.
But we are not at that caliber either. And that being said, I think if people did go back or the people who have been listening to us from the beginning, we are 100 times better than we were day one.
I feel like you're a lot better and you have a more natural tendency than I do, but I do feel like I am getting more comfortable and the focus is more so on the guests and the outcome versus my skills as a podcast host.
You let me know early on that you really didn't want anything to do with this. You wanted to be the talent. I want to show up. I want to ask the questions, right? And that's what you've done. And I've been okay with that from the beginning, and I'm still okay with that.
Good.
So as long as this is working for you, I don't mind putting in the behind the scenes work.
Yeah. And I think that's how that works. And that's how you got me on board. Sometimes we have to go back to where's that piece of advice of like staying in your lanes, spouses that work together, partners that work together to have their own lanes and to be able to communicate about those, but stay in your own lane. And so sometimes I feel like you would love me to jump in and I could jump in more, but I also have other responsibilities and I want to stay true to being able to commit to my commitment and having you stay in your lane and kind of run this show, but you've been doing a good job. Yeah. So the premise of the podcast, which got me on board, was because we've been blessed by other amazing couples and families. And I want to say that as like, it's not just the couples, but to find awesome families as a whole that you're like, I want to spend time with, I want to hang out with, I want to learn from, I want to be more like, or we just jive. I feel like we've been very fortunate to find a lot of those families. And so I feel like there's a lot of really cool couples, families that just need to find each other and that it's possible. So having this podcast as a platform with some of the amazing couples that we've gotten to know, friend, interact with, and then getting recommendations for likewise couples to be able to continue that, pay it forward.
Yeah. You touched on something that I think is really important, and it's the community. Having other couples being able to network together, to family together, to parent together, to be the village that it takes to raise a family, right? And that's something that we have a really good community here on Maui. And, I will give props where props are due. It is all because of Brandon Turner. He is so good, and Heather, of course. But they are both so good at just bringing people together and opening their home and opening their lives. And it's just been so magnificent for us to be a part of. And the people that we've met through there,
and no strings attached.
No strings attached.
It is simply the idea of community. And honestly, the people that have strings attached kind of weed themselves out. But to also elaborate from that, it's not only the Maui community, we've been able to have a worldwide community. And that's not seeing each other every week, though the Maui community has been really staple in that. But being able to still have so many likes that are similar and conversations that are similar, that we get to maintain those relationships around the world, which is super cool.
It is super cool. And I don't remember who said it originally, but I remember somebody saying one time, like, the more successful you get, the more that you have to fly to meet your friends. Meaning that, like, there are successful people all over the place, right? And sometimes your best friends are in Boise or in Coeur d'Alene or in Omaha or wherever they are, right?
Yeah.
And so it's really hard, I think, for people who don't have a community like what we have out here to build that from the ground up. It takes a lot of work.
It does. And that's kind of the misnomer of real estate. Like, I'm going to buy the property that's going to be the home run and I'm never going to have to do anything and I don't have to clean toilets or property manage or anything like that. That's also the same with relationships and community, is that it takes work, it takes commitment, and it takes time. And that doesn't happen overnight. And so really placing a value on the friendships and relationships that we have has been very fruitful and very life-giving.
We have a text thread that goes out, and the text thread is all people within our community that we like, right? Good families, good people. And it's like, hey, we're getting together this day at this time. If anyone wants to come to the beach or to the mountain or whatever it is, surfing, whatever. And people just show up. Yeah. And that just having people in a text thread like that, like, most people don't respond all the time, but a lot of them do. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, hey, we're going to the beach on Saturday.
Just checking.
That's been super important. And I think that's a really easy tip for people who do have, other families in their community. Put together a group for the Phoenix community or whatever it is, like your group of 5-10 families that you really enjoy getting together with, and just be like, hey, this is what we're doing today. If anyone wants to jump on, let's go. Or like, hey, I'm thinking next Friday, let's all get together and
potluck, do a movie night. Yeah. And I think that's great, because then it's not, so many of us are we're structured but spontaneous, if that makes sense. So we have our goals and our tasks and our metrics, but we also are spontaneous with, like, let's do a sunset tonight. And there's no like set in stone. It's just impromptu plans. And that's kind of what has made that work, is if you have 5 families in it and 3 can show up, like, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, getting back to the whole premise of why we started this conversation was, we want to help other people build that community, to be around inspiring people.
And so good.
Yeah. And whether it's people that you meet on here, look, our guests are attainable, right? Like, they will respond to your messages. Go on their Instagrams, go on their LinkedIns, go find them on their websites or whatnot. They're amazing people. Everyone we've had on the show has been they're amazing people, and they will respond to text messages. They will respond to, Instagram. They will respond when you see them at a conference or whatever it may be, right? But build that community, align yourself with the people who inspire you.
And who are maybe the couple of steps ahead of you that you want to be like, because that just makes your path so much easier. It's like that whole old mindset of like, I can do it alone and we can do it. It's way more fun and way easier to learn from others' mistakes and ride the wave together.
Yeah. So are you enjoying doing the podcast?
Yes and no. I don't enjoy the pressures of making the guest feel comfortable and at ease. And I feel like I'm getting more natural at that, but also just the preparation to make sure that I'm honoring their time and showcasing the amazing attributes and qualities that they have to share with others and not missing that opportunity for them and for us. And then of course our listeners, which is the goal.
Okay. I can see that. I feel like that is something that you're very, very natural at. You're very natural at making people feel comfortable and welcome and wanting to be there.
Which has been great feedback. And a lot of our guests, it's their first time in a podcast. Okay. So jumping into challenges, kind of, this is probably coffee talking, but let me jump into challenges is that I think that you thought it would be easier to get couples on board.
Wow. Yes, 100%. Man, oh man. When we started this, I thought like, oh, cool. We'll get Cam and Lexi. They're going to be amazing. We'll get Brandon and Heather. We're going to get Brody and Andrea. We're going to get all these people that really inspire us and
that are our friends.
And that are our friends, right? So we don't have a huge Rolodex of friends, but that both the husband and the wife inspire us, how they live, how they grow their family, how they, do their business, all that stuff. But Heather and Brandon have been a no so far. And it's not a no. It's just Heather is more challenging to get on the podcast. And I put that totally in your corner, right? Yeah. That is the one that you have to get. But I know Brandon's ready to go and he would do it as he's amazing. Brody and Andrea have said that they would do it, but they are the most difficult people to get a hold of. So if you actually listen to the earlier piece where all of our friends are accessible, Brody and Andrea are not accessible. Andrea more so than Brody, for sure. Yeah. Brody, I've told him this before. He is my worst best friend. Worst best friend.
Which is accurate.
He is.
Yeah.
I love him.
But I think, and so for me, I kind of love that challenge because I love that we can challenge people that already inspire us. And it does take a team. And that's the whole thing, is that it is not, if one person is making the paycheck and there's a family or a couple involved, it is not just that one person making the paycheck, right? And so really putting light on how much it takes to be a team, whether you're in business or not, to run a household, all of the things, to pay your property taxes. But it also shows that once these first timers, whether it's the man or the woman, it's been mostly females, but there's been a few males that it's been their first podcast and they've said yes to support their spouse. Yeah. Which is huge because it's scary. It seems scary. And then after the podcast, they're like, that was amazing. They're so proud of themselves, which already is a reward from doing it, which is really fun to see because that has been repeated is like, I was so nervous or afraid going in. Yeah. They actually enjoyed the process and now they've done something hard.
Yeah.
So I love that we can be kind of like that first step in something as well for them.
Yeah, that's really good.
Okay. So what has been surprising to you? Probably the guess, how difficult it is.
It has been really difficult to get both people on board. It's been difficult logistically to get audio and video set up for everyone. And it's okay. A lot of people just use their computer microphone and their computer camera. And that's been a challenge because the audio isn't as good. We got these cheapy microphones that actually do a pretty darn good job for what they are. But if you don't have that, we've noticed like it's really hard to correct the audio sometimes.
I haven't noticed that because you do the back end, but I will say we have learned from mistakes. Thank you for those that have redone their podcast, because, which is so sad, because there's so many good conversations that just happen organically. And when you have to redo it, it just doesn't feel good all the way around. But so grateful for those that did have to. We've learned that AirPods, if a couple shares an AirPod, only one person picks up their sound. So we no longer do that.
Yeah. So we did that with
Nam and Amr.
And
it was so good.
They had such a great podcast, but we went back afterwards and we were trying to edit this thing. And like, I heard nothing that Amr was saying, nothing. And so like, that was heartbreaking to me. Because it was such a good interview. It's
heartbreaking. It's humbling. It's frustrating because a lot of time and effort from everyone involved is put into it.
Yeah.
And then it's like, can we do it again? And I think too, the scheduling, that's been tough because we're working, we're having a conversation with high level people that are busy.
Yep.
And not busy, like frivolously busy. They're busy in their businesses. They're busy chasing their dreams. And so like to get 4 people on the same schedule is definitely.
Yeah. Pinning down 4 schedules is tricky. I know, I'm so grateful that Anam had the grace that she did to be like, no problem. We'll do it again. And it came out even better the second time. So I'm super happy for that. In fact, their episode had more views on YouTube, I think, than almost any other episode that we've had.
They have so much work.
They're amazing.
In Dallas is amazing. Like in their neighborhood, and neighborhood is vast, but they have a following because of the quality of flips that they do. So if you can get a hold of one of their properties, like they put the love and also the just attention to detail, because Anam has just such an eye for anything out of place. Yeah.
Love it.
It's great. Lessons from guests that have maybe changed you. What do you have?
What have we learned from the guests that we've had on? Yeah, we should definitely go into that.
Don't share Sarit's, because that's definitely mine.
We just had Chase and Amy Ingram on, and I love Chase, but he said something. He's a man. Like I've known Chase
he's a man.
4 years. Yes, he's a man for 4 years, and he's just a very soft-spoken Southern gentleman. But when he speaks, he is so good at coming to good analogies, good metaphors, good points. And one of the things that he said, it was very simple, but it was like, look, I realized that if I have a plan B, I'm never going all in on plan A. And that was like,
That's kind of like a sink in moment.
Of course, right? But yeah, it takes a minute to sink in. And then once it does, it's like, dude, you're right. Burn the boats. Let's go.
Yeah.
Right?
That's hard to do.
It is hard to do. Yeah. So I think that one was good for me. There's so many.
I know.
Everything that Peter and Melissa said was fantastic. Kathy and Rich were
I know.
Amazing. What about for you? What was some of the moments that stood out?
I feel like, we've had quite a few guests now, so it is hard to pinpoint, but most recently, and unfortunately most frequently, because we've been on a lot of airplanes lately, is the turbulence. But you said they don't call it turbulence anymore?
Yeah, they were calling it
on the
rough
airline.
Air.
Rough air. Yeah. That's way more.
Listen for it, because we're getting on a plane in a week.
I know. Okay, so the turbulent rough air, I don't like it. You didn't like it. It makes me kind of forget what's happening in life and to be stressed out. So already thinking about it, but dancing to a song in your head to rewire your brain. So it's not just like trying to like get over the moment. It's actually shifting your body chemicals to think that you're dancing instead of your body doing things that it shouldn't be doing. So helpful. I haven't mastered it yet, but I'm getting a ton of practice, and for better or for worse, but it's helping. I need a new song because I just have the Madagascar I Like to Move It song in my head.
Yeah.
And I've probably sung that to myself
well, at least you don't have another one bites the dust in your head. That would be pretty awful.
Is that the one that you play?
Dan, dan, done.
Okay, stop.
Another one bites. No, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
And that's a
I'm
terrible
a Michael
sound choice.
Franti guy when it comes to that. I want to be happy, and like if I'm moving and if I'm dancing, like I want some Michael Franti in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to see the dancing translate into not sitting in a plane seat, though.
I'm a world-class dancer.
On record, that better not be cut, because I would like to see that.
Well, what was the video game that we had?
Oh,
The Nintendo.
Just Dance.
Just Dance or Dance.
It's Just Dance.
Whatever it is, I won every round against Nico and Caroline, every round. And
I don't
she's
think
like a lifelong hula dancer. So
Yeah.
what's up?
lifelong hula dancer. I don't think that it was, what is it called, paired correctly. But
Totally right.
anyways, all right. So where is our family invest headed in your mind? Because I'm just a talent. I just show up.
So I want to go back into some of the challenges, because I think one of the questions that we've gotten from a number of people is like, hey, I'm thinking about starting a podcast too. What's involved with this, right? And there's a lot that I didn't know that was involved. So we have a pretty extensive tech stack right now, programs that we're using. Like right now we're recording on Riverside. We've got 2 mics. We've got a audio interface that we're using, a lot of software.
You have also gone through so many cameras, which was super frustrating from the outside to watch, all the packages coming and all the returns going. And now what are we recording on?
Yes. So I love that you asked that question, actually, because, you know, as someone who has a background in photography, I had the whole setup with, you know, DSLRs and everything else. And I keep hearing Alex Felice again, just start, right? And I think Amr actually said that too. But anyway, I went through all the webcams, all the DSLRs, all that stuff, and I could not get the lighting right. And I tried all kinds of lighting stuff, and I'm a natural light kind of guy. I like having light from a window or some kind of something. So right now we have lighting from the window here. Of all the cameras I tested, my favorite one was an iPhone. And we're not shooting this on an iPhone right now, but if you're watching this on YouTube or on Spotify or whatever, what you're seeing is actually being recorded on an Apple Studio display monitor. And I was as surprised as anyone, but it is just as good as until you get to like, you know, where you actually have a big studio and you got multiple camera sets.
Fair, and people, and you're not pressing play.
I like keeping it simple as we can, because we already have a bunch of wires. But, you know, walking into some of these studios, there is so much going on. This is my office too, right? Like I work in here every day.
Yeah, so you got to move things around.
I want it to be simple and I want it to work.
And
form follows function. Does it function first? Then it can look nice. Right.
And just for the record, did I tell you to get the Apple monitor at the very, very beginning before you got like 6 cameras deep?
You did. Well, I thought I needed multiple monitors. I thought I needed all these things. And at the end of the day, I was like, nope. This is what I want. I want to plug this into this and be done. Yeah. And so now that's what we have. So we have 2 microphones. Usually we only have one. It's plugged right into a docking station. And then we use Riverside to record, as I mentioned. And
that's been working.
You know, my best friend has been ChatGPT. I have conversations with Chat all day, every day. And it's not just asking little things. Like I've gone pretty deep into prompting and interacting with other APIs and other programs and softwares with that. And so that's been really, really fun for me. And the reason why, like, I'm sure a bunch of people are listening right now and being like, well, why don't you just have somebody else do this or have somebody else do that? Fair. And yes, however, I always like knowing all aspects of something that I'm doing before I hand it off. So I am at the point where I am ready to hand off the editing. Most of the editing is done on the front end through Riverside. And then I'll bring it into Final Cut Pro. I'll finish off Reels and Shorts and CapCut. But, you know, we're using all kinds of different software.
Yeah. And I think that's been a good stretch for you. Definitely not as much for
Canva.
Me. But it's just like, you are learning all the facets
Yep.
too, right? So that makes it easier because in the past we've hired people. We haven't hired fast or fired fast, but we've hired people expecting them to just do what we needed to do,
Correct.
but not really understanding the logistics of it. And so now you are getting the nitty gritty of it, which I think will serve us down the road.
It will. And, you know, we're kind of at this fine line where it's like, okay, I can hire people to do some of this stuff, but I'm also learning so much through AI that a lot of what I can learn, if I keep going a little bit deeper, I can create the AI automations that can do a lot of it. There still has to be some oversight because there's still a lot of hallucinations with artificial intelligence, especially with ChatGPT or Claude or whatnot. But there's a lot that can be done. So the editing takes a long time, and then planning and scheduling takes a long time. So I use Metricool to post a lot of that stuff. And then we have spreadsheets and we have Notion databases and everything else where we're tracking like, okay, well, this short came out on this day and it did really well, but the one that came out the following day did not do well. Well, is it because it was a Tuesday, or is it because of the hashtag, or is it because of the content? So we have to look at all this stuff and we have to try and analyze, like, is there a pattern here?
And by we, it's actually just you, which
Me
is
and ChatGPT.
Yeah, which is your bestie. But it's good because you're also learning to utilize those tools that we're going to have to use. They're going to become more prevalent, and not just like simple questions. You're learning prompts, you're learning to stretch the tools and to actually get the data that you want rather than just like, what color is the sun, right? So
yeah, rewrite this description.
Yeah, which is great because you wouldn't know that without going down this path.
Correct.
And having the time to do it. Where do you see the podcast going, and what do you want to change moving forward, if anything?
Oh, good question. I think that we still have been fluctuating between the different segments of the show.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think we have that really boiled down
A recipe.
yet. So, you know, a lot of our guests are real estate investors, and that's great. Most of the people we know are real estate investors, but I don't want people to think of this podcast as a real estate investing podcast.
Can I interject?
Yes.
So the Our Family Invests, we have had questions about that. And it's funny because people may have heard it or seen it in some kind of form. And they're like, oh, the Investing for Families podcast. And we're like, okay, yes, real estate investing or just diverse ways to invest. We do touch on those, but honestly, it's more of like investing in your family unit, investing in personal growth. It's investing in your family and yourself as a whole versus the traditional use of the word investing.
Correct. And I think that maybe that's what people are missing a lot of times. And we haven't been really good at
communicating that.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Thank you. But yes, that's it. Growth, personal growth, mindset, health, wellness, family, of course.
Yeah.
And how we can do it all together and stay grounded. Of course, we want to build business. We want to build legacy. We want to grow wealth, right? And that's all part of it. But it's keeping the family together as we do that. That's the goal, is like interviewing people who have done that, who are doing that, and what are the takeaways that we get from that.
And some of those things, if you'll note with all of the guests that we have had, all of them have some level degree of personal development, health, as well as the systems and structures for their business, and also dreams to move forward.
Yep.
And I think those are kind of just like key aspects that keep coming up for the types of people that we're attracting and want to be more like or attracted to, or our friend circle is.
So, you know, I do want to get back to your question because I have a way that I would like to answer it. And I think that you might have a different way. But where are we going with this podcast, right? What do you see down the road? Where is the evolution of it? What's phase 2, phase 3, phase 4? Do you want to start with that?
Mine's pretty simple because I'm going to deflect to you. Yeah. I think that, and having more time so that you're having less time doing the background stuff would be great, because then we get you back a little more. In the future, I see more opportunities for guests to want to be on the platform because we want that movement to continue. And I want to be aligned with people that want to better the world, as cliche as that sounds. And then also, that can maybe lead into speaking engagements and more intimate opportunities that I don't even know are coming. And also to be learning to speak better, to ask better questions. I'm excited for that personal growth for me. And then just the relationships that we get along the way.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at too, I think. I think as we grow, we'll have more people reaching out to us to get on the podcast. And so I think that there is a need for a guest relations type of person where they can kind of interview different people and get like I don't know, like a pre-podcast event going on so we can make sure cameras are good, audio is good,
Sure.
all that kind of stuff. I love the idea of being open to where it takes us. Because for me, one of the reasons why I wanted to start this is because I wanted to feel more comfortable on camera. And I wanted to build that, I guess, that community that we have here, but help others people build it too.
Yeah.
Or get connected to the people that, like I said, inspire us.
Yeah.
And honestly, this podcast is about uplifting those people. It's not about me. It's not about you. Where it takes us personally, we'll see. I don't know. I do like the idea of possible speaking engagements or possible, events that we put on, maybe, either masterminds or like, one of the best events that we did was a couples goal setting retreat a few years ago. That was so good.
Yeah.
And I feel like we could do that too.
And for me, I love co-hosting. I love collaborations. And so on the flip side of that, my take would be I would love to collaborate with the types of people that we are around and would like to attract as guests, to collaborate with them, to continue that growth and movement in person. And so just
That's great.
Speaking out loud.
Yeah, I would love that too. That's great.
I like to do things with other people.
Sometimes that's a whole lot easier than trying to do everything yourself.
Most times, yes. Yeah. Okay, so let's wrap this up because we do have our son to get ready for math camp. And so this is how you fit things in. You move the needle and you make things happen. Like we had it scheduled.
We didn't really have it segmented out very well, as you saw us bouncing between so many different things.
It's okay. We have an editor.
Yeah. All right, let's get into something a little bit more fun. Let's reminisce a little bit because we've had some really good podcasts.
I know.
And I want to know, like, just off the top of your head, what were your top 3 favorite podcasts? Ones that you just didn't want the camera to end.
I loved Sarit and Lior's. It's also hard for me to think further back than a couple of episodes just because of the way that time has completely spiraled in the last month and a half. But that one stands out. And I will say not necessarily the content itself, because I feel like I got something from each one. And I think I loved seeing different forms of energy with people as well, and just what they wanted to share. But I am really grateful for all the people that said yes, and that they saw it as an opportunity or as a privilege to help us, to help other people, which is super cool. And I'm really grateful for. And then people that said yes to be the first podcast or to say yes to be their first podcast ever. That to me, it's already impactful and I love that.
Yeah.
So not podcast specific, but I've enjoyed each of them for different reasons.
Nice. Good.
Yeah. Do you have some that are just like at the top of your head?
I mean, there's so many that stand out. I loved our podcast with AJ and Tessa because I always wanted to ask. I've heard AJ's story 1,000 times, right? And I always have to listen to it from beginning to end because it's just mind blowing, right? But I never heard Tessa's take on it before. So I'm really grateful that we got Tessa to come on, because as a person who's essentially watching her husband die and nobody knowing what is going on, what is going through your head?
Yeah.
And so she did such a good job of eloquently putting the pieces together that I felt were missing from before. So that one definitely was a great podcast.
And I will tag on to that because when we did have them on the podcast, it was kind of full circle from, you'll remember the event, not the event, but the moment when we were sitting in Boise and it was staying light till 10 o'clock and we're just having the most deep conversations that could have gone on for another 4 hours, just sitting in the backyard and talking story, but not surface level at all. The deepest depths that you could go with new friends, and then having it full circle, maintaining relationship, and then also having them on our podcast.
Yeah.
So cool.
They really were the inspiration for us starting this anyway. Rich and Kathy, of course, I could talk to them forever. They're just the most amazing people. So many. So Peter and Melissa, everything Peter said, like, I think Peter's really funny because, like, you look at him and he just kind of looks like, I think,
Solomon Gruff.
Yeah, he does. I think, Sticker Bob calls him the angry Egyptian.
That's really funny.
But he does. He kind of has that look. And so you feel kind of intimidated when you're talking to him. But everything he says is gold. And he's got like great stories to back it up. And you're like, oh my gosh, I could listen to this guy forever. He is so well polished. He's so good. I think their podcast was really good.
Yeah. And Melissa, she is one of those quiet supporters, but not quiet when she needs to be. But she has so much life experience.
Yeah.
And now that I hear that of her being like as a mentor mom, being the recipient of a mentor mom, needed that. And for someone to get Melissa, they are so fortunate.
Yeah, so good. I think the Bodenmullers were really good. It was one of their first podcasts too.
They both have like pretty much died.
Talk about like the most resilient stories, right? Like they both almost died numerous times, like legit almost died.
Or did.
Right? And had like the worst case scenarios. Every story was like worst case scenario.
Still this,
and
like,
they just keep getting back up and like throw something else at us. We got this. We'll keep going. Cam and Lexi were so much fun. They were another great couple that they were just so inspiring. I think that was their episode got me almost to tears hearing. I think I probably was in tears. Actually, I had to kind of just like dab my eyes at the end when Lexi was talking about that text that she sent to
her dad.
Oh my gosh. If you guys haven't heard that, go back and listen to that episode. But it's basically something like, she sent a text to her dad one day that she was all stressed out and like the house was a mess. The kids had thrown everything all over the place. And she just sent this text like, Dad, I get it. I get why you were so hard on us or, all that stuff now. And his response was like, all I want right now is someone to come over here and throw stuff around my house.
Yeah. Okay. Can't do that right now. Can you move on?
Yeah. So anyway, we've had some great episodes. I've actually listened to multiple ones multiple times.
You have.
And they're just so good. I've learned so much from so many people. I think that everyone we've had on has become a deeper, closer friend. Stephen and Nicole Ward, didn't know them at all before this podcast. They're amazing. And they're now in our Coeur d'Alene group. So I'm putting them in my
Coeur d'Alene bucket.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Every time we go to Coeur d'Alene, I want to see these guys. They're just amazing people.
Yeah.
So we can go on and on. Sorry if we missed anyone because there were so many good ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, so 6 months from now, we're going to be a year in and we are not stopping.
It's not going to die.
We've given it a year to see where this goes.
Yeah.
And I am committed to doing this for a year. And I'm really hoping and praying that we can continue on past the year. I would love to see this continue on.
Yeah.
I think one of the hardest parts is getting that engagement and figuring out,
so please comment, like, and subscribe. I know that sounds so annoying and minimal, but it really does help continue to keep the momentum going. It encourages us, more so him, but encourages us to keep going and doing what we think is impactful or valuable to the audience.
It's a path towards monetization.
Right.
Like we don't want this to be, sponsored by GoDaddy or something. No offense, GoDaddy. I mean, if you want to sponsor it, that's fine. But you know what I mean? Like we don't want this to be a commercial. We want to be able to have the guests on that align with us and that can share their stories. And again, push up those guests.
Yeah.
Right.
And cover the editing and cover
the expenses that we have on the podcast are not insignificant.
Yeah.
So, and plus the time that it takes to do it, it's a full-time job. And And so if we can figure out a way to cover some of those costs without being too pushy towards other people, and like you said, liking and subscribing is the best way to boost our numbers. And once we boost our numbers, that helps us to have a whole lot more opportunities. So definitely that is the best, in my opinion, thing that we can ask for from our listeners.
Yep. And then we will continue to hopefully provide something of value.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
I think that's about it for this episode. What do you say, Pi?
Yeah. Thank you. I am excited to continue to co-host with you, and thank you for all your hard work. Yeah.
Love you.
Love you. Thanks for being part of the family today. If you want a closer look at our journey through real life, business, and all the wild adventures, follow us on Instagram at Our Family Invest. And for free resources to help you on your own path, head to ourfamilyinvest.com.
If you like this episode, send it to a friend. And if you're feeling extra generous, drop us a quick review. It really helps us grow this community. Thank you so much for being part of our family today. We really, truly appreciate you.